Okay, for math today, it's a page called More Area. And in the first question, it wants you to figure out the area of each shape. So just remember that when you are figuring out area, you are calculating the space inside a shape and it's measured in squares. So if we see our shape kind of cut up into squares like this and there's no measurements, then we can just count the number of squares. And when we're using measurements, for example, if we're measuring in centimeters, we would want to measure by using the unit centimeters, and then we want to show square centimeters by putting a 2 kind of just above the M, kind of on the M's right shoulder. So let's check it out. Area of A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's just as simple as counting the squares. 4, and looks like we have 8 plus 4, which is 12. So that's kind of cool how it's showing you that if you have a shape that isn't a rectangle, right, you could use a line to divide it into two different rectangles. You could find the area of one shape, the area of another, and then just add them together. So they kind of do that in each of these, which might give you a hint of what's coming up. It says, draw a line to show how shape C can be divided into rectangles A and B in part A. I just showed you that for part A for the first one, and then there's 3 others where you're going to need to divide shape C. And it says, how can you get the area of shape C from the areas of rectangles A and B? We just talked about that. So because area C is made up of rectangles A and B, if we take the area of rectangle A and we add it to the area of rectangle B, that's going to equal the area of C. So we're going to add them. Now we're going to apply this to rectangles and questions that have more measurements. So we're not counting squares, we're going to use measurements. And remember, in order to solve the area of a rectangle, we need to use this formula. We need to multiply the length times the width. So the first thing it wants us to do if we read the instructions, which is always a good place to start, is draw a line to divide the figure into 2 rectangles. So I'm going to do that with my line tool. And this one's pretty easy. So I drew a line there. We've got rectangle A and B. I'm just going to label them. You don't have to do that, but it's going to make it easier for me to talk about them. All right. So rectangle A has a length of 4 meters, and it has a width of 3 meters. So if I want to find the area of rectangle A, I'm going to do 4 times 3. So the area of rectangle A, or rectangle, oh, I see, rectangle 1. Well, let's change my labels so that they're the same as the ones in the question. So I have rectangle 1 and rectangle 2. Here's rectangle 1. Here's rectangle 2. So area of rectangle 1 is going to be length times width, which is 4 times 3, and that equals 12 meters squared. I'm just going to put the 2 beside it because I'm not using a drawing tool. If you're using a drawing tool, you could put it up on the shoulder there. If you just skipped and wrote 12 meters squared instead of writing 4 times 3, that's okay. I just want to show you how I got my area. And rectangle 2, we need to be careful because there's a measurement here that says 7 meters. But that 7 meters is for this whole side. It's for this whole side. And I only want the length and width of my square or my rectangle. So we've got 4 meters and we've got 8 meters. So we are 8 meters wide and 4 meters long. So let's use my text box. And the area of rectangle 2 is going to be 8 times 4, which equals 32 meters squared. And then to figure out the total area, I'm going to add up 32 plus 12 to give me an answer of 44, I think. Yep. 44 meters squared. All right, try that out on the other two questions on this page. So on the back page, we get to a word problem, and it's kind of oddly worded, so I want to just go through it with you. It says a building is 8 stories high, and the wing is 5 stories high. So here we have a building that's 8 stories high in total, so from the bottom to the top. And the wing, so the part that comes out the side, is only 5 stories high. So the question says, how many stories high is the tower? And for me, the way the question's worded, it makes sense that the tower is 8 stories high because it says it's 8 stories high. But when I look at the diagram, I think it's actually asking us to figure out this distance here. So how much higher is the tower than the wing? So if the whole building is 8 stories high and the wing is only 5 stories high, what would we have to add to the 5 to get to 8? So what would be this distance? So the equation for that would be 5 plus, I'm not sure, equals 8. And that's pretty easy math because we know 5 plus 3 equals 8. So let's put that in there. So the tower is 3 stories high, we'll say. Okay, it's the same type of question, except we're using the side. So here it says the tower of a building is 10 meters wide. So here's the tower part, and it is 10 meters wide. The base, so from the beginning to the end, is 50 meters wide. And then how wide is just the wing part? So we need to do, it's kind of like a number line. We've got 10, and then we need to add an amount to 10 to equal the distance of 50 underneath. So 10 plus, I don't know, equals 50. Maybe you can finish my thinking there and put your answer down. So now using that strategy, you're going to find missing side lengths. So you're going to divide the figure into 2 rectangles and find their areas, and then find the total area of the figure. But there are some missing side lengths that you're going to need to figure out. So same as before, first thing we're going to do is divide this shape into 2 rectangles. There's my ugly line. Now, excuse me, I've got lots of information, but I don't have all the information I need. Because to figure out the area of rectangle 1, I'm going to need to figure out the length and the width. But I only know the width. I don't know this length. So to figure out this length, I'm going to look at all my lines that go up and down, because this is an up and down line. So this line goes up and down and it's 6. This one goes up and down and it's 4. And this is a mystery. But I know that if I add this mystery line to 4, I'm going to get 6. So I just need to figure out what plus 4 equals 6. So that's 2 meters. Same with this way. I'll use a different color to show my horizontal lines. Now I want to look at all my horizontal lines. I know this one, and that's going to help me with the missing measurement here for rectangle 2. I've got 2 meter line. There's a mystery line and 6. So it's actually the same as the side line. I just need to do, this time I have 2. So 2 plus what equals 6? And the answer is 4 meters. So now that I have all of my measurements, that says 4. Yikes. Now I can figure out the area of rectangle 1 and 2. So rectangle 1 has a length of 2 and a width of 2. So I'm going to go 2, oh no, times 2 equals 4. And we're working with meters squared. And rectangle 2 has a length of 6 and a width of 4. So we've got 6 times 4 equals 24 meters squared. And the answer to that is going to be 28. Because I'm just going to add rectangle 1 and rectangle 2 together to get 28 meters squared. All right, try that on the next question. It is tricky. And then at the bottom, we have some more questions for you to figure out. So find the length of the rectangle if the width is 2 centimeters and the perimeter is 12. All right, drawing a model is definitely going to help you with this question. So I'm actually going to draw a rectangle. All right, so if the width is 2, that means I need a 2 here and also a 2 here, because that's going to be the same distance. So now I've used up 4 out of my 12, which leaves me with 8 left over. Am I right? I think so. So that means I should have 4 and 4 for my lengths, which means my length is going to be 4 centimeters. And let's just make sure it all adds up to 12. 2 plus 4 is 6. 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. Perfect. All right, next it says find the area of the rectangle using these clues. Hint, first find the length of the rectangle. Okay, so if my width is 2 and my perimeter is 10, so I've got 2 and 2, but this time I only have 10, so this must be 3 and 3. So that all adds up to 10, but now it wants me to find the area. So length times width is 2 times 3. The area is 6 centimeters squared. And finally, it says on grid paper, draw a small square, or draw a square, not a small square, with the given perimeter, and then find the area of the square. So a square has 4 equal sides. You could do it on graph paper. You could sneak it in right here at the bottom of your page as well. If it's 12 centimeters all the way around, then each side would need to be 3, right? So if each side is 3, then you're going to have a 3 times 3 for your length times your width, which is going to give you 9 centimeters squared. All right, you try B for all those, and it's a lot today. It's a lot of thinking and figuring out, but it's kind of fun. These are kind of like puzzles. We'll take a closer look at these in our math lesson tomorrow morning. We'll take a look at some examples like this.